Bigger than capes.
Give me some sadness.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, and then I watched it.
Right.
Hello and welcome to Bigger Than Capes. I'm Zach, and this week we're doing a roundup type thing with Angela, Will, and Matt. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone.
Hello.
So, Zach, Will, I believe you're here to teach us about the secret of the ooze.
Mm-hmm. We have both been given very important back tattoos that prove that we are the shamans of all turtle knowledge. Namely the teenage ninja variety. I'm not so good on the aquatic
On
turtle.
the real world ones.
No, they don't interest me in the slightest. But
Well, that's unfortunate because all my questions are about sea turtles. So,
well, if you pop a bandana on it, give it a Renaissance artist name, and I'm on board.
Yeah. So, I kind of initially suggested this because, and like we'd been talking about turtles a little bit, and Angela and I both realised that we didn't really actually know that much about like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like. And since we're going to do a book club on one of the more recent like series, I thought it would make sense to have our two turtle experts here, Zach, who has been reading through the entire series over the last year.
Not even that, since March, I think, was when I decided.
Oh, that's
I was
a lot more recent than I thought. I didn't realize you tried to cram it into like that.
Tried and succeeded.
Yeah, and Will, who I think is like a sort of lifelong Turtles person.
Yeah, I think I've been reading
Turtles lifer.
the Turtles guru.
Yeah, TMNT faux life. I think I've been reading this for a couple of years now, on and off. And it's various spin-off series.
Yeah.
I have dipped into it over the years. It's just this is the first time I've decided to do it all in order and with basically no breaks. I'm tired. So very tired.
Whereas like my experience with Turtles, a lot of it is in the form of like the various cartoons. Like I as a little kid, I was like obsessed with the like Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. I had like a bunch of like different figurines of the core four, and like I've still got like and I've shown Will this like a sticky sort of like a sticky sort of window hanger plush Michelangelo that like lives on my bedroom window and is slowly dying from the sunlight exposure.
How all Ninja Turtles die eventually.
Yeah.
That's why they live in the sewer.
Yeah, exactly. And like I watched a lot of that. I of the original sort of cartoon. I watched I watched the Next Mutation.
Good stuff.
No, it's so bad. I watched like I watched a bunch of the early 2000s or like mid 2000s cartoon, which was pretty good actually. Like, and I'm a Usagi Yojimbo guy, so if you ask me about like times when the Ninja Turtles have been to like feudal Japan, I can tell you about that. But I can't really tell you much about the actual original like comic books or the sort of relaunched universe. Angela, how about you?
So I watched the Turtles cartoon when it first aired, when it was Hero Turtles, because we couldn't use the word ninja in 1990 because reasons.
Yeah. And Michelangelo didn't have like his actual nunchucks.
No,
he
he
had
didn't.
like the two shells.
Yeah,
It does
because
start with the nunchucks and then they phase it out for the like
Shells.
grappling hook because they were scared children would
we all
possess nunchucks.
You know, you just go around to your local newsagent, you know, can I have a pair of nunchucks and, you know, a 10-penny mix. But yeah, so I remember those. I remember the cartoons very fondly. My brother was really into Turtles. He had the T-shirt. He had all the action figures. I couldn't get the action figures because gender, and I was a girl, and therefore I used to steal my brother's. It was fine. That's how I rolled through much of my childhood. So yeah, I remember that. I remember the 2003 cartoon. I remember the films, the live action films. Weren't they a thing? I'm saying nothing more. Such a good thing. So I'm vaguely aware of character names, but nowhere near as many as are in the comics. I believe I have read some Mirage Turtles comics way back in the 90s, because I remember reading a black and white Turtles comic and being super confused by everything about it.
At my local library.
I don't even remember the context with this, but I think I was like, oh, Turtles are in a comic. I should read that comic. And I did and was completely confused. I just remember it being black and white. And I remember sort of reading the story of how the Turtles came to be and drawings on napkins and all of that mythology. And that's about it. I know there are 4 Turtles and they're named after painters. And for many years that confused me a lot because I used to think, you know, Leonardo da Vinci was actually a turtle. And then I was very disappointed to find out, in fact, he wasn't. Raphael, I absolutely would have sworn I didn't know he was a painter. I just thought he was a turtle. So that confused me much. Like, I was, you know.
Just the facts, Angela.
It was like, when Splinter said I named them after like these like Renaissance artists, you were just like, wow, I didn't realise that the Renaissance had turtle painters.
Exactly. 8-year-old me just made the connection between he's named them after painters, therefore the painters
must have been turtles. They must have been turtles.
Why would you do it?
Why? Of course this could have happened. Of course this is the second time that we've had anthropomorphic turtle mutants.
History, people, history. That's the bit they don't tell you. So yeah, that's my Turtles knowledge. And we had glasses with pictures of the Turtles on from about 1991, and only Leonardo survives because he was everybody's least favourite and therefore was the least used.
Oh, poor Leo.
I remembered something. My gran's car was blue, and I got to name it when she got that car. So obviously, it was called Leonardo.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Don't get me talking about the Fleetway Sonic the comic, or it'll be another episode.
Well, we've done that episode.
Yeah, we have.
Really dumb.
But I think you both might actually recognise more than you think. So you both mentioned. Both the original kind of cartoon, probably where it's most famous, but also the kind of 2003 cartoon, which I think a lot of what this comic has drawn, at least character-wise, has drawn from there. So I think there's more than you know.
Or is there?
Or is there?
So, I guess first things first, as Angela has touched upon, Turtles, napkins and jokes between Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird about Ninja Turtles, ripping off Daredevil and other such Frank Miller properties from the 80s, which I think has been covered a lot recently in stuff like the Toys That Made Us dug into it really well and kind of told us the origin before talking about how cool the toys are. They are good toys. after years and years of different people doing Turtles, so Mirage and then Image and somebody else. I feel like somebody else.
I think there was at least one other, but I forget now.
It's not important at this point.
Were they ever with Dark Horse?
I feel like there must have been a Dark Horse phase, because how else did the Usagi Yojimbo crossovers begin?
That might have been because I think Usagi Yojimbo might have been Mirage or something at the start.
Oh, maybe. And obviously it is IDW now, so potentially. Publishers, many. Currently, as of 2012, IDW, which is where we find ourselves today, because I'm sure both me and Will have considered going back to 1984, but
I was expecting it, but hey.
We've stayed within the relative safety of the 2010s.
Yeah, I'm a modernist.
At least on this occasion.
Yeah.
So the series as it stands, beginning in 2012, was Kevin Eastman, Tom Altz on writing duties, with, I think it was Dan Duncan was the first
I think very initially.
artist. There are many artists and many writers, especially for like the spin-offs and mini-series. So I don't think we're going to name them all, but
nope.
Unless Will's got a list like just off screen,
even
well,
with
we
the list,
can't
I
see.
think it's more trouble than it's worth.
Yes. So I think some people will get name checks out this, but I don't know. I don't think everybody will. So, we begin in 2012 with a kind of reimagined origin story where this is already fundamentally going to be a dumb episode. I can see that now. Where 3 turtles are together with Splinter. Those 3 turtles are Leonardo, who leads, Donatello, who does
machines, yeah.
Michelangelo, who is a party dude.
Yeah.
But where's the cool but crude one?
Well, while Splinter was teaching the other 3 to be ninja teens, Raphael got separated from them in their kind of initial,
their initial oozing.
Yeah, their
oozing, if you will. So I'm just going to cover the origin. Basically, lab experiment turtles and rats in StockGen, which is a company that does experiments, because that's what companies do, apparently, since they're a science company. April O'Neil is kind of the lab assistant. I think is she an intern or something like that?
I think she's an intern at this point, yeah.
Can I just check?
Does she wear a yellow jumpsuit?
No.
Does she have ginger hair?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So pretty much, other than the ginger hair and the name.
Does she have a sidekick? Does she have a sidekick called Vern?
I don't think we ever get a Vern. But yeah, other than the ginger hair and the name, she's not very similar.
No. I think there are glimpses in her. I can't remember the character's name. Her mum is definitely. She's like her mum was an investigative reporter, and we kind of see hints
so she's
of like
basically like the cartoon April O'Neil.
Yeah, and has had
at least in a sense, yeah. As we all do at some point.
This April's kind of been aged down and is a scientist.
While she is late night sciencing, a bunch of ninjas break into StockGen, or Mutagen as I think it's being called at this point, and also decide to nab themselves the turtles that are hanging out in a terrarium. Yeah, I mean 3 turtles. 3 turtles. You gotta take them.
Really
don't say no.
So they grab the turtles, they grab some ooze, they make for a hasty exit, and basically a lab rat tries to stop them. Pulls the fire alarm, causes a distraction. April manages to not get ninjaed to death. They get away, but in the process drop the turtles and some of the mutagenous. And what do you know? Turtles get themselves mutated. However, one of them is stolen away by a cat. And I'm going to pass it over to Will for the next bit.
That's very good. It's like story time. My cat's just appeared. Anyway, the alley cat in question, takes one of the turtles, as we've established that is Raphael at this point. But before he gets very far away down the alley, the same lab rat discussed earlier, would you believe it, attacks the cat as well. Bites his eye clean out.
Wow.
Then the turtles and the rat escape.
Hardcore.
They get away, and but now Old Hob is covered in ooze. And
That's
Old
the
Hob.
cat.
Oh yeah, the alley cat is called.
I was going to say, who is Old Hob? Who's he?
Old Hob. Yeah, should have introduced. The cat is called Old Hob, and he turns into a surprisingly buff man cat.
Is he still missing an eye?
Oh yes.
Does he look like does he look like Black Sad when you say surprisingly buff cat?
I mean, pretty similar to a different coloured Black Sad. He has an eye patch to cover the said missing eye, but he also wears a long kind of manila trench coat for a lot of the time, and looks rad doing it.
Based on injuries alone, he is a meeting ground between my cat Bobby and Black Sad.
Okay, that'll
Yeah.
be
I can
useful for
see
all
that.
listeners.
Missing a few bits.
Yeah.
Ulk becomes one of my favourite anti-heroes throughout the series. He ends up like mixing back up with Baxter Stockman and working for him, being experimented on.
Is Baxter Stockman the one who turns himself into a fly?
I thought that
In
was
the
Jim Gold.
cartoon, he was, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoilers. No.
And is it Baxter who invents the mouses as well?
Correct.
Yes.
He does have flyborgs, like cyborg
Flyborgs.
flies, but he doesn't do that to himself. At least not yet, and we're like 100 issues deep, so there's still time, I guess.
It could still happen yet. I don't know if you want to continue with the kind of the plot theme, because I was going to. Old Hob leads me straight into mute animals, really.
Yeah, if you want to kind of tell the mute animals story, and then we can always jump back and forth just to keep Angela and Matt on the toes.
Yeah, just tell us cool things. Like tell us about like the cool Krang, the cool brain that lives in a robot's tummy.
Oh, we'll get to Krang.
Sorry, that lives in the microwave that's in a robot's tummy.
Believe you me. So Old Hob goes to work for Baxter on the proviso that he can kill Splinter for revenge for his eye, and I assume not letting him eat that delicious turtle. It's been playing on Old Hob's mind. But eventually, through being very poorly treated by Baxter, Old Hob breaks away and forms his own team of the mighty Mutanimals. I think these were originally from the Mirage series.
Yes.
Any backup?
It's a bloody good question, Will. And they're definitely from somewhere else. I think it is Mirage. My internet isn't working. No.
I think they had a comic in 91 originally.
Speaking of like other mutant teams, do we get the dumb frogs?
Kind of.
Ooh.
So it's very unclarified, but we get in TMNT Ghostbusters 2. There's a kind of dimension hopping moment where briefly I think it's Winston and Mikey end up in a kind of Mad Max post-apocalyptic wasteland where they get robbed by an anthropomorphic frog who then has frog friends. So we get a kind of punk rock version of the stupid frogs, yeah.
I mean, that could be, so that could either be the cool stupid frogs like Rasputin, Attila, like, is it Rasputin, Attila, Genghis? Like, his they're all...
and definitely a fourth like warlord, yeah.
Yeah. Or it could be a reference to Hell Comes to Frogtown. A post-apocalyptic.
I hadn't thought about that.
Roddy Piper movie where he has a bomb attached to his dick. Like
classic Piper.
Or just Battletoads, but probably the frogs.
Probably all of the above. So
amphibians.
Turns out the Mutanimals were first in, and this answers a question from earlier, the Archie comics run. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There we go, Archie.
The other publisher. But in the IDW, they get their own spin-off volume as well, and they are full of pretty rad mutant characters, including Slash, as we mentioned earlier, although that might have been before we pressed record.
I think that was before we pressed record.
For the audience, that'll be nonsense.
That's completely out of context. Here's a question: how do these mutanimals become mutanimals? I mean, is there a lot of mutagen just like knocking around now?
Well,
are the ninjas just spraying it all over the place?
Is the secret of the ooze like how there's so much of it?
That's two Secrets of the Ooze references in like 20 minutes. Get Matt off. He's done. Just get him out.
It ends up being really complicated, and they go to great pains to tie everything together.
I thought you were going to say they go to great pains to make sure that you never find out.
To just ignore the fact that there's about 1 billion gallons of ooze just running down the streets of New York. But there's a whole new like historic backstory of Shredder and Splinter being like ninjas in feudal Japan in like the original Foot Clan.
Yeah,
buddy.
So basically both sides, so both origins of the Turtles. So there's the one origin that we see kind of in the 1990 movie, was it? 89, 90? Where we see that Splinter has learnt to be a ninja by being the pet of a ninja and watching him do ninja things.
I remember this well.
Yes.
But then we also have the kind of reincarnation story from the Turtles. So we kind of get a hybrid version of that here. A mutated version, if you will, of...
Nice.
Yeah.
But in the feudal past, Oroku Saki, who is the real name of Shredder, kills Hamato Yoshi, Splinter, in case you're not keeping up.
Yep, I remembered the Yoshi. I couldn't remember the Hamato. I knew it was something Yoshi.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Hamato, I think, or at least Clan Hamato, has only been introduced much later.
Yeah, I think it was originally a different name.
So
I
think Hamato is a bit of an update. But then it goes to explain that, as you mentioned earlier, Krang, one of the other classic villains, was selling ooze to the then Foot Clan leader, like meaning that he just stayed alive forever.
Cool.
Because ooze is complicated.
Because ooze is super complicated. It's essentially
so it doesn't just turn you into talking animals.
It's a fluid that does anything, really.
Yeah, it's a bit like the vibranium was in the Black Panther film, where it's a kind of catch-all problem solver. Am I right in thinking if it's been cut with animal DNA, it'll mutate you? But if it's just straight mutagen, then straight ooze, it'll heal you up real good.
There's at least one major example. Like treat it like the best drugs. But there's a character called Hun, who in this is Casey's dad.
Ooh, we've not introduced Casey yet.
I think surely we know Casey, right?
He wears a hockey mask and has some sort of...
Why? Who could... Who could Casey be? Why? I doubt he's Matt's favourite character.
Okay, well, as soon as you don't really seem to care about him, we'll gloss over and we'll move straight on to Hun, his dad. So yeah, we still get Casey Jones, potential love interest for April in this version. Again, sort of aged down, so it's not creepy. Don't get the wrong idea.
Good.
Depends how far you age someone down, though, doesn't it?
But his dad is just a sort of useless bum who eventually gets shot up with ooze, and because he doesn't have any like animal connections, he just becomes hench. That's sort of it.
There's a bit quite late on where I think it's the first time Bebop and Rocksteady meet Hun, and they just keep referring to him as that professional wrestler guy, which I think is the most accurate description of Hun. He's just huge, and there's no accounting for it really.
Yeah, I remember what my kind of overarching point was though. So in this version, all of the Turtles and Splinter are reincarnations of these people from feudal Japan, but they kind of balance the idea of the mysticism off with the fact that their DNA is captured in the ooze. So they try and introduce a sort of pseudo-science explanation for it as well. So they're like their DNA and their sort of memories are locked in the ooze. So when they are re-oozed, that's why they have personalities and are a family as opposed to, you know, just being fucking insane turtles with swords.
That actually touches upon something I wanted to talk about, which I can't remember what issue it is. I think it's about issue 25, maybe. Oh, I can't find where that is in my notes. Let's vamp for time. While's that? I don't know. It's pretty early on. About issue 25, there is an issue that is Krang and Shredder have a meeting on a boat to decide, because they've got the same problems of, you know, these turtles. Yeah, these turtles
They've got the same problems. They're both brains inside a microwave in a robot's tummy.
First world problems, am I right?
So they get together on this boat to have a chat about like how they should team up for the greater good, and like, you know, they'll take out the turtles and they'll both get something out of it, which kind of breaks down in epic fashion of like Shredder being all like, you know, help me take out the turtles, and then when I rule the world, you know, whenever you want. And Krang's all like, yeah, but when I rule the world, you'll be dead. So doesn't matter, does it? I'm taking over to kill you all. You want to take over to live. This can't work. And I think it's a good issue because it's built like they're going to team up. You're sure of it because of everything we know from films, animated series. Yeah. And the idea that they're both just like, nah, man, fuck you. I want to take over the world. It's like, nah, fuck you. I want to take over the world and kill everybody. It's a good dumb point, and it then ties into reveals we get that, Kerrang, fuck.
Is that the musical version?
It is, it's the musical version of Krang.
He sings in a metal band.
So we get the reveal that Krang, is the same Krang that was selling previous Shredder in feudal Japan was his, you know, ooze dealer, and now he's just got this running thing where he will go as far as reincarnating Shredder's enemies to fuck with Shredder just in the modern era.
Only because I wrote it down that his name was Takeshi Tatsuo.
That's right. In the first go around. So
he was the first time leader.
If you want to read some comics that's got both versions of Shredder, that'll be Shredder in Hell, which is Shredder fighting Shredder to decide which one is the, you know, superior Shredder, essentially.
Makes
Okay.
perfect sense.
Is there a Technodrome?
Yeah.
Of course, there's a tech.
Yeah. Does it have a big eye on top of it?
The design is remarkably similar. I mean, I don't think it does have a huge eye on the top, but it is still just, a
It's
massive.
definitely eye-esque.
Yeah, it's got a thing on the top.
Okay.
Now, I
Does
can't.
Shredder ever look like he's played by Kevin Nash?
No.
Okay. Does Vanilla Ice ever show up?
No, but there's definitely a few casual references to Ninja Rap.
Okay.
Excellent.
Also in Shredder from Hell, there's definitely a part where one of them runs to fuck me. There's a scene where a zombie turtle runs to attack Shredder in Hell while shouting
yelling,
"Go Ninja,
go! Ninja, go Ninja, go!"
But there are definitely subtle references before that. Maybe not even subtle. No, there's no way to subtly reference
I
Vanilla
was going to
Ice.
say, you cannot be subtle when it comes to Vanilla Ice. You just can't.
Okay.
Man.
So sorry for derailing there, but I was very curious about the Technodrome, and that led to other questions.
Well, I think we may have circled around to Krang as well.
So
yeah, we've kind of done some kranging.
So Utoms, is that what they're called? From Dimension X.
Correct on both counts, and that still holds strong in the IDW continuity. We have both the Utrom Empire and Dimension X. That's the correct pronunciation.
Which actually ties into things I was going to talk about, which this is going to get so long with the passing back and forth. So Dimension X, the main people that are at odds with Krang there are the neutrinos, which are the prime ones we see are King Zentar, Queen Gisla, Princess Trib, Commander Dask, Carla, and Zack.
Those are some names.
Zack being the weirdest of them.
Queen Gisla.
We're also treated to, and this is going to tie everything neatly together, Professor Honeycutt, who is a man who I think was the original character that Laird and Eastman wanted to write, because he is a man who can transfer his consciousness into an android, but his human body, well, his neutrino body dies while his consciousness is in the android. He then escapes Krang and Dimension X, becoming a fugitive, or a fugitoid, if you will.
Yeah.
Who finds his way to Earth, where he hides, because he's a shape-shifting android, where he hides in the form of Chet Allen, who is a scientist who is kind of April's boss, who works at StockGen for Baxter Stockman.
Aha!
Because Stockman is getting ooze from Krang to create mutagen and a psycho.
That was the bit that was a bit confusing, as there seemed to be two things going on. Yeah,
he's
the ooze mutates stuff, but then there's this psychotropic drug that kind of makes them smart, and it's why Splinter was already smart as a lab rat before he was a ninja rat, because he'd already had the psychotropic drug. He just hadn't had the ooze yet.
So that's how he knew how to turn the fire alarm and claw out a cat's eyes. And
that's it. Even when it's complete nonsense, they have explained their nonsense in incredible detail.
Immaculate detail, really. Yeah.
Everything that seems like a plot hole just leads to a different plot hole, and then you never really find the end.
No. So Chet Allen is kind of a recurring character in different forms, which is a beautiful thing in a weird way. We also have other miniseries and plot arcs based around what Krang has done in his past war crime, like ventures through time and space. So he has previously kidnapped Triceratops from Earth to mutate them into the Triceratons, who are a species of just awesome Triceratops warriors. They will later go on to invade the Earth, their rightful home. And boy, that's the thing. He's basically wronged everyone, and it's a way that we introduce some characters from the animated show I don't remember. Like, they round up. So once at some point they capture Krang and are holding him trial, and then have to do a jaunt. The turtles end up doing a jaunt across Dimension X, rounding up witnesses, which include such gems as Ace Duck, who is, the duck pilot that apparently appeared in the animated series, but I don't remember.
Okay.
And
do they ever have to fight like any xenomorphs from the movie Alien, but they're made of pizza? Like,
not yet, but I am expecting it.
Are there ever any tourists from Dimension X who have cameras that do weird
Yes.
Because I remember hating those episodes because they scared me.
Again, not yet, but I wouldn't rule anything out.
There is time.
I can tell you more about Dimension X if you want, or we can try and pad out some of the gaps.
Tell me something. Tell me the weirdest remaining facts that you can think of about Dimension X in current continuity.
Christ. Right, so we have an entire planet of beanbag people who change colour based on your emotions.
Okay, that rules.
Okay.
We have an entire planet that is like one ecosystem of plants. So like one group of plants is the eyes, and one group of plants speaks for the planet, and that's just a lot to deal with. Christ, what am I even missing at this point from Dimension X? There's a lot to deal with.
I think that'll do then. Let's get back to
Krang hires a bounty hunter in Dimension X to kill all of the witnesses off, called Hacker, HAKK-R, that is a kind of electric squid person with
amazing
a kind of helmet face and a Grim Reaper cape, and is surprisingly entertaining for a bounty hunter who doesn't seem that invested in getting the job done at times, and writes things off as like, they're just plants, man. They can't testify against you. A lot of respect for that.
I love that fucking brain ass Krang is is doing like witness tampering and witness intimidation. It's so fucking good.
I've completely forgotten the most important math facts for this for Dimension X. There is a wrestling federation based on an asteroid headed up by a couple of tree people.
Yeah.
With running joke that basically Raph gets lured into competing in the opening match and beats the guy who was meant to win and go on to the main event title match. And then we end up with a kind of all turtles versus a bulldog dressed as Elvis and Raphael. It's a bulldog dressed as Elvis and Raphael versus Mikey and Donatello in the main event. I'm pretty sure it's Mikey and Donatello, and they've been given names like Superstar Mikey and I don't know. I can't think what they are, but it's ridiculously cliched. And all through it, the promoter keeps talking about how, this is going to happen and that's going to happen and what the finish needs to be. And throughout the entire thing, Mikey just stays strong that it's all real. And
I did want to point out, though, just the strength of the kind of writing and perhaps planning.
Yeah.
But when Krang first comes, like, not when he first comes to Earth, when he's fighting the turtles, his whole plan is to ultraform. I was going to say terraform, but that wouldn't be quite right, would it? Ultraform planet Earth into a planet that the Utrons can kind of repopulate, because his dad, Emperor Quanin,
nailed it.
you having that?
Yeah.
Was a greedy emperor and essentially just dried up Utron and destroyed it. So he's on Burno Island. He builds his technodrome. The point of the technodrome is to do the terraforming. He manages to get as far as terraforming Burno Island, and then obviously Turtles win. Yay! Then later with the Triceraton invasion, once that's all wrapped up, because they used to be slaves of the Utrom Empire, they can breathe their atmosphere. So now they live on Burno Island, and you just go, oh, that's just everything in a nice bow. Nothing is left. Everything is resolved.
Hooray!
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of really good, like a lot of really good long-term planning.
Yeah, definitely.
It's mad, I think, how much of the tie-ins actually bleed in quite importantly into the main series. I don't think we've mentioned Leatherhead yet, who's a mutant crocodile.
He is indeed.
I think I remember Leatherhead.
He was, I think,
He had a
originally
straw hat in animated form, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was a kind of beast in animated form, but he's a pretty troubled, kind of independent in this. He's on nobody's side but his own. But his kind of creation is set up in... Is it just called Turtles in Time?
It is Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time. I was wondering if I was getting confused with the video game, but
Also sets up the Triceratons.
It does. But there's a bit where they become Blackbeard, just like the Thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, like the Thing.
The Thing
when he goes back in time, and
Raphael have both been Blackbeard. Or was it Mikey? Man, it's been a while since I've read the old time travel.
I think it might be Mikey that becomes Blackbeard. I could be wrong. I think it's Mikey.
It makes sense because Mikey is the Thing of the Turtles. Good old blue-eyed Mikey.
Oh, bless him.
But that's all set up from that, and them dropping ooze in the ocean, and then Leatherhead eating.
Yeah, we see a crocodile floating around.
It's super
In
good.
the
It gives
ocean.
me, well, near an island.
I mean, there are
saltwater
saltwater crocodiles.
And that's the one.
I don't think that they exist in America. I can't remember.
Yeah, of course he did. Burno Island is fine. But it keeps me super invested that everything is so deeply interconnected. But I've never seen them have to make a retcon. It feels very, very purposeful and very planned.
I agree, and I think that's one of the things that has made it really rewarding reading through all of this kind of back to back is the fact that even stuff that feels like it's not going to matter, that kind of, you don't think I don't know, Woody, the pizza guy that Mikey's friends with, is going to be important, and he isn't a lot of the time, but your investment in him is kind of massive for some reason. And when they do little stories where it's here's what Woody was doing at this point, this is what happened to Woody, it's kind of nice to see some consideration. And the idea that Hob and the Mute Animals go for full runs of full volumes where they're not on panel, but when we catch up with them it's they're in the middle of some scheme or plan, and I think I don't think we see in a lot of superhero universes the consideration that time goes on for characters you can't see.
Yeah,
that's true. So it doesn't feel like they're just they're not just shoved in a freezer and then, hey, remember these guys? Yeah,
and I think pretty consistently it does work. There's only one thing I've read that's like bugged me. So there's 2 issues that are like a 2-part story in Turtles universe that I don't think worked, but everything else I think is fit together really nicely.
What are the 2?
I'm not going to tell you what those 2 issues are. So it's pretty late on in Turtles universe. Mutagen Man, Seymour Guts, is kind of recovering. Well, not recovering. That's the point. He's been attacked. He hasn't really got a body. He's just a kind of sphere with
organs floating in
a
jar.
Yeah, and he just wants to die. We're basically told that explicitly. Like, he just wants out. He's had enough. He's lived in pain his entire existence. He's always been just organs floating in goo. And Mondo Gecko rocks up at the start of this issue, like blasting music and kind of being just a total dick. And basically is like, nah, man, I'm going to go and steal all the technology you need for Lindsay, our resident scientist, to fix you up. And Seymour's like, nah, man, I want to die. I am a head in a jar right now. I'm out.
I've just looked up Mutagen Man. I've just looked up what he looks like, and
it's not a great kind of
strong look.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I like Mutagen Man, but at this point he's already blown himself up.
Mm-hmm.
This is his second admittance that he, doesn't want to keep on living. And Mondo Gecko has been incredibly chill as a character up until this point. And rather than continue to be incredibly chill, kind of goes on a path of rage. Like, I don't know, like Taz in the 90s for a reference Matt will get.
Yeah.
And I really disliked the art for these 2 issues, and I just felt like the characterization of Gecko was like not in keeping with who Gecko had been until this point. So I don't know. None of that sat right with me, but that's my only complaint. Also, in the same run of Turtles universe, we get an issue drawn by Tyler Boss, who did 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank.
Oh, yeah.
Which the Turtles duck into an abandoned building to hide out from to try and avoid people during the Triceraton invasion. But the building they duck into is an evacuation center where all the people are, and it's basically a full issue of them trying to hide whilst kids think there are monsters there and are trying to find them. And it is 5-star. I think it's Tyler Boss drawing it, and Paul Aller, who is doing Hollow Heart at Vault.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul Aller does an awful lot of this kind of micro series and then TMNT Universe, and he is good at writing Turtles. He's just not allowed the main series, apparently.
Oh. I thought you were going to say like the 4 Turtles walk into a bank at one point. I was like,
that'd be a comic.
Has that been done?
Get Tyler Boss on the phone.
Yeah.
But within those TMT universe as well, there's a. Is it the first time we get like Sophie Campbell art, or does she appear first time in the main?
I'll have you know, her first appearance, unless I'm mistaken, is the Leonardo micro series from the first volume.
That is early doors. And she's taken over kind of full time now, and her art is just so perfect for the Turtles. I mean, there's been lots of really cool art up until this point, but hers is just bueno.
Yeah, there's a few artists that there's a lot of artists, but there are a few recurring artists that I think every time we see their art, it's really good. I think Sophie Campbell, Matthias Santaluco, and
absolutely
Michael Dialanis, I want to say, who does. So Matthias Santaluco did the first event, which was City Fall, and then Michael Dialanis did the second big event. Second big event, which was City at War. There are other events in between, but I think those are the biggest.
Other events are available.
I think so. I think they're the big stepping stones.
Technodrome's kind of big, but it feels
spread out.
Not big. So I think there are quite a few events kind of sprinkled throughout the series, but I feel like the City Fall and City at War are the two like ones that they really pushed. Maybe Will disagrees with me, but I don't think he should.
No, I think you're right. I think they're the ones that feel the most kind of eventy, and the others do feel like just peaks in the story. I think City Fall, is that with like Leonardo's the new Chunin?
Oh yeah,
that's ace, man. All of that,
so good.
So good.
Should we try and explain it?
Go for it.
Please.
See what you can do.
Crap. So in City Fall, basically, Shredder and Kitsune managed to get in Leonardo's head and kind of win him over to joining the Foot Clan. And basically go to war with everything and just decide they're going to take over New York City. And if you're, organized crime in the city, you're part of the Foot Clan now. And if you don't like it, they're just going to kill you. And, the Turtles can't have that, obviously, because, they're the good guys. And they try and get Leonardo back while he's being all awesome and black turtle-y and like...
he just extra, some extra armor pieces and gets his like black bandana.
Oh, just looks cool, man.
He looks super cool.
And it's also in the same arc that Karai kind of secretly... sorry, gotta do that.
Let me remember. Is that Shredder's daughter?
Ooh, close. Granddaughter.
Okay.
So Shredder's granddaughter, obviously, there's some technicality issues there with him being hundreds of years old and having been dead for quite a lot of them. So Shredder's granddaughter, Karai, just on the side, because between other projects, goes to Burnout Island, steals some ooze, and independently decides to mutate two members of the Foot Clan who are particularly worthy, who are Bebop and Rocksteady.
How do they decide their worthiness?
I was wondering when we were going to get to them.
My faves.
I enjoy how their worthiness is decided. They just get all of the participants in a room and they just say fight, and then they're the last two standing. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Whoever's left standing, congrats, you're going to become mutants. And they end up being Bebop and Rocksteady, who are, whilst complete fucking idiots, might be like the best of characters in spite of it.
Yeah, they are superb.
Painfully good.
Super dumb. They've got a really great spin-off series.
Is that Bebop and Rocksteady destroy
everything?
Everything. I don't know if it was the universe
which
I love them so much.
Is a real like time travel head mess with lots of different versions of Bebop and Rocksteady, like before mutation and after, and
during
different mutations, and it's so good.
It's got one of my favorite stupid ideas in it, which is that they basically start opening portals to random points in time and space when they're in this big fight, and just start pushing the people they're fighting into different points in the timeline.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Which is like 5-star stupid, but perfection for it.
Yeah. Now, when you think of Bebop and Rocksteady, in the same breath, do you automatically think of Bulk and Skull?
A little bit, yeah. They're definitely like the Turtles equivalent of Bulk and Skull, yeah.
Yeah, like whenever Bebop and Rocksteady show up, you should get the Bulk and Skull music playing.
I dare say that Bulk and Skull are Power Rangers version of Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, fair play.
Standing up for my Bebop and Rocksteady origins.
Bebop and Rocksteady are given a more like important part to play as well. I think is key. I mean, okay, maybe not important, but they're given a part to play. It's largely hitting things with big things and breaking stuff. But
yep, but in cool ways.
They also have a sequel mini series, which is Bebop and Rocksteady Hit the Road, where basically we find out that they've been. I guess it's in. What is it in? Where we find out that they were down in. All right, for reasons that are incredibly unclear, they find themselves
in Brazil.
Yeah, Rio, and they kind of are forcing their boss to be. They give their boss like a gang name that's Reggaeton, and he hates that. And basically, everyone that they come across who like teams up with them for even a short period of time ends up with like a genre assigned to them. So there's a guy I can't remember what he ends up being, but there's a guy for one page. They hop on the back of a train with this homeless guy, and they immediately name him like I can't remember, like Ragtime or.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Frashcore or something.
They get a guy for one issue again. They end up with
this is
monster
our new
hunter.
boss, Vaporwave.
They end up with a monster hunter for one issue who's called Hector, who immediately rebrands himself as Razzmatazz. And later on, they talk about how he should have been doo-wop or grunge because that's better.
Yeah,
it's
quite right.
Oh man, they are consistently dumb, and I love it.
I don't know if this is remotely important to you, but the reason they're in Brazil is because after they've fallen out with the Foot Clan at the beginning of Destroy Everything, they join a different gang, but are so bad in that gang that they accidentally kill all of the gang and are left stranded in Brazil after trying to steal something, some MacGuffin. Yeah. So Destroy Everything starts and ends in Brazil.
That makes sense, yes. Oh, and this has just made me realize all of the time travel is basically for Bebop and Rocksteady is because they steal a kind of scepter from a rogue time traveler called Savanti Romero, who used to be a member of the Time Masters, who are also the people who allow the Turtles to time travel, because they end up accidentally being friends with a woman who is either called Renee or Rennet, depending on if the T is silent or not.
We just don't know.
Who is simultaneously a really frustrating character and also one of my favourite characters.
She's like an extremely zany Doctor Who.
I was going to say it sounds very Doctor Who-y.
And
in a jumpsuit with a huge clock on her head.
And they basically introduce with her, and you think it's just her at first, but then when you see the Time Masters, you introduce the idea that all time travelers talk like Bill and Ted.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And also terrible. Now, like, we're talking about time travel. Do they ever I know they can't necessarily have him appear due to licensing issues. Do they ever slyly talk about a particular rabbit that they've met?
There is at least one issue where they do cross over because Usagi Yojimbo is
it with IDW at the moment?
Yeah,
because it's been through so many publishers.
Yes, it has.
Can't remember where it's at any given time.
I always think it's Dark Horse, but I think it's definitely been IDW for a few years.
Dark Horse did have it. That's why they have been republishing all of their run, which is why the Yosagi Yojimbo saga reprints don't they start part way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's Usagi Yojimbo is so good, but like publishers, so many of them.
I think very few of the spin-offs don't happen in continuity. Like even the Ghostbusters one is mentioned.
It's actually in continuity.
Is it canon?
I think it is, but I don't think it has any actual impact. Yeah, I don't think they really mention it again, unlike some of the others that they They do.
Ghostbusters gets mentioned afterwards. I don't think Usagi does.
Is the Batman, because doesn't it cross over with Batman at one point?
I think they made it clear that the Batman one is with the Mirage universe turtles.
That kind of makes sense. I can kind of, like, I know the Mirage stuff and like that kind of like the grim and gritty kind of violence of that kind of I like more as an idea of crossing over with Batman.
I think that's what it was, and
yeah.
similarly with the Power Rangers crossover.
Oh, I didn't know there was a Power Rangers.
Power Rangers Turtles. Oh, mate, you should see some of the turtles in Power Rangers versions of themselves.
Do we get a Turtle Zord?
Ooh, I'm going to have to finish that crossover. I only read the first 2 issues.
But again, I think that kind of sits to one side of the universe.
Yeah.
So I realise this has been a bit of a
scattershot
look at the universe. Okay. Basically, so next month we're going to be discussing TMNT Reborn, the first volume. So by that point, kind of the initial arc with Shredder gets resolved within the first 50 issues. The initial story with Krang is resolved within the first 75. And by issue 100, we've kind of had Karai's return to try and take over the Foot Clan. Jenica, who was one of Shredder's assassins, who then goes on to become like...
Ooh, the 5th turtle.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what happens in between, but she ends up being the 5th turtle.
As we've not really discussed, but eventually Splinter takes over the Foot Clan.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's when Jenica, who's loyal to the Foot rather than to Shredder, becomes a cool person.
Yeah. Yes.
Eventually, the 5th turtle.
Do you have any Venus de Milo?
I was fighting off to asking about Venus de Milo.
No, I don't think we do we?
I don't think we do. I think Jenica is kind of the closest reference we get.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of new version.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm also fine with that.
Jenica is really cool, though. I think that's a thing to be said.
So does that bring us kind of up to date?
I mean, there's so much to it that I'm not sure
you've given us kind of enough.
In the broadest of strokes, I think so. Like, I think that
I feel
gives you
like
the big
understand a lot more and a lot less of what turtles are.
Good mission
in a way that
accomplished.
actually has me genuinely really intrigued to like go out and like learn everything.
It comes as a high recommendation from me, I think.
Now, but I would like you guys to learn something very quickly because I decided I had to find out what the names of all of the punk frogs were. So we and once I've told you the names, I'm going to read you their trivia section on Turtlepedia because it is really bad. So they are Attila the Frog, Genghis Frog, Napoleon Boner Frog, Rasputin the Mad Frog. And their trivia, despite their group name, the punk frogs' clothes and attitudes are from a surfer dude style instead of a punk style. Unlike the turtles, the frogs hate pizza, although in the episode Big Bug Blunder, Genghis and Napoleon learned to like pizza. One of them one time said, "Does that mean run? ... It was funny."
It was funny.
They have accents. Despite being named after historical tyrants and warlords, the frogs do not share such traits.
That's
it.
I hope my obituary reads like that.
Yeah, like that you don't share traits
With
historical tyrants.
Good. Yeah, that's excellent. I'm pleased for that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matt. That's going to take some time for me to come to terms with, but
that's going to take some processing.
I really like their character development. You know, they learned to like pizza.
Just like I might add to the trivia on any page on anything about a character is just they have an accent.
One of them once said, "Run."
It was funny.
It sounds like it's been written by an 8-year-old. That's just the best. But yeah, go out and read it. Go out and read it all. Do what Zach's done and buy the ginormous hardbacks that just have it all in order.
Yeah, I'm really tempted, actually, because some of this stuff is absolutely wild and sounds like my kind of thing.
There's some characters like Alopex, who's like a mutant polar fox. Ooh. We haven't even touched on, and Alopex is rad as anything.
I know that Zach once mentioned there's like a weird scorpion person.
Zodi, baby.
Zodi.
Oh.
Yeah, Zodi's also
is cool.
Cool as anything.
I also haven't touched on, and I'm going to ask Will this question of who his equivalent is, but my favorite character who I didn't expect to be a recurring character based on the first appearance is hands down Harold Lilia. Harold Lilia, who is essentially a grumpy, hippie scientist that Donatello kind of forces to be his friend, I guess, from just like repeat exposure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically builds machines. He does machines, if you will.
Yeah.
Including like gauntlets that lift stuff up and kind of cloaking devices, but everything's kind of like not great, but he just doesn't want anyone's help because his last partner and wife bailed on him. So he's kind of incredibly grumpy, and he's introduced to us with his screen name, which I'm pretty sure is Kirby Fan 101.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, he just argues with Donatello on forums and keeps using the word abstruse.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just a recurring joke that
good word.
It's not a word. So Will, from you, who's your favorite, unlikely recurring character?
We've touched on a lot. Woody Durkins being a big one, the kind of resident terrified human. But I think my favorite, the surprise favorite, was Herman the Hermit Crab, who is a member of the Mutanimals.
Absolutely.
And a hermit crab who lives in like an upturned sort of New York, those huge metal trash containers that they have in New York. And out pops like various like rail guns and rocket launchers from his bin. And he also thinks he's a military man, wears a army helmet. Does he chew a cigar?
I don't think so, but it wouldn't surprise me.
That's what I've got in my mind's eye, and I'm sticking with it.
Through a, unfortunate moment, ends up with a metal claw as well.
He does, which is super metal.
We haven't even mentioned Pigeon Pete.
There is, of course.
The names just keep getting better.
Pigeon Pete's a pigeon.
Yeah.
And that's it. Hob attempts to mutate him before they know about the psychotropic drug that they need to make things
just
intelligent.
Have the brain of a pigeon.
He's just really dumb. Yeah.
Are they just a big buff pigeon?
He's not even buff. He wears little love heart boxer shorts.
Oh.
And tries to cook, but everything seems to be like worm casserole because it's a pigeon, man. It's real dumb, but it's a special place in my heart for Pigeon Pete.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's before we even get on to Sally Pride, Ray.
Man Ray.
So
yeah.
I believe there might be a quick round of questions.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Matt definitely does believe that, but the reality is we've not prepared that.
Shit, sorry.
Here we go. Look, I found an Ultimate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles quiz on the internet.
Oh, hooray!
Right.
So let's go through. You've actually already answered this one, but the show was originally known as Teenage Mutant Blank Turtles in parts of Europe.
Hero.
Yeah, heroes.
You're correct. I'll give you the blurb as well. Due to a controversy over the word ninjas and certain weapons such as nunchucker or karate sticks,
So
the show was called Ninja Major. All of my words have gone together. Let's move on. Which turtle wore the blue mask on his face? Was it Da Vinci, Leonardo, Tesla, or Franklin?
Tesla.
Leonardo.
Franklin.
Correct.
This is to see if we pass. This is to see if we pass the training course, right?
It does. Leonardo is known for wielding 2 bow staffs, grappling hooks, katanas, or nunchuckers.
I was really hoping it was going to be like pistols.
Yeah. 2 pistols.
You are correct. It is katana. Which turtle is remembered for wearing a purple mask? Is it Michael, Matt, Donatello, or Galileo?
Donatello. These are not. These are very.
I like that one of the answers was genuinely Matt as well. Matt the turtle.
Yeah, Matt the turtle.
I have no problem with calling him Mikey, but calling him Michael.
Michael the turtle.
It's weird. You're shortening it whilst it also sounds more formal. Like you're about to give him a bit of a telling off.
Oh, Michael.
I mean, these are exceptionally easy. Donatello's weapon of choice was
a pair of guns.
Your options are grappling hook, bow staff, sword, or pillow.
That would be a bow staff, but I'd really like it to be a pillow.
Yeah. I think that maybe we should assume then that we've will give us the mercy rule that we've just been murdering this quiz because we know so much about turtles now, thanks to our excellent teachers.
You're very welcome.
How is this the ultimate quiz? That's what I want to know.
Well, it was the last quiz ever written, so it's the ultimate quiz in that way. So, 2 quick questions.
Oh no.
1, do they have the turtle blimp?
No, not yet.
Oh, damn.
Do they have the turtle van?
Yes.
Does the turtle van have like the satellite dish on top of it, and can the roof open up?
I don't think they ever get that far. Do they? April owns a VW camper van that they do get around in for quite a bit, but I think it is just the nod, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Eventually, it does get the tech in the back, but I don't think we get the satellite dish.
I'm trying to remember if, I swear one of the action figures had a pizza launcher.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I was trying to remember which one, so I could ask you whether they have a pizza launcher.
Nothing stops crime more than a nice deep pan.
Yeah.
There was also an action figure that came with Pizza Ninja stars.
Yes, but imagine being hit in the face by molten cheese.
That is true. That would be quite painful.
And like horribly hot, like tomato sauce.
It's a horrible way to die.
Yeah. I mean, horrific.
I would rather be attacked by an anthropomorphic turtle with a pair of katanas. Than I would be by one with like
wielding a pizza
that's burning my face off with cheese,
or with a Ninja Turtle wielding a pair of pistols.
I mean, that'd just be like let the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles be in the movie Equilibrium. Yeah, fine, great.
Am I right in thinking that only bad guys use guns in this series? Because all I can think of is Agent Bishop.
I mean, I guess the neutrinos use guns, but they're kind of at war.
Yeah, that's
Also,
true.
they use like science guns, the neutrino.
Yeah, it's sappy guns. It's not bullet guns.
And that's different. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, I don't think any of the heroes really use.
No, the heroes use hockey sticks and golf clubs and.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, that's what a hero uses, and wears a hockey mask.
Easily accessible sports equipment.
Yeah.
I will say, and me and Will have probably touched on this in previous conversations. I don't know if they were on the podcast or not. I think Casey Jones is one of the least consistently written characters in otherwise.
It's a bit of a shame.
Consistent character. Quite consistent for a lot of the characters, but I think Casey, I
think he starts quite compelling. Like at the beginning with Raphael being separated from the group as a baby turtle. When he mutates, he's on his own, and Casey's kind of the first person he teams up with, and it's definitely reminiscent of the bit in the Turtles film when like Raph just disappears for a bit and goes all sad.
Yeah.
And,
do we ever see Raph have to be in a bathtub of ice?
I don't think we ever get the bathtub. And I'll have to reread all of it just to see now.
It's worth it.
But yeah, Casey, I think he starts off pretty compelling, and then people just seem to forget what to do with him later on.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
That sucks.
So this might be more or less the end of our Turtles Academy, unless anyone has anything else.
Leaves. I feel much better equipped now to go into our book club, like I say, and like to want to like really dig into this.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got the theme tune for the television series running through my head, as I have for the last hour, so thanks.
I managed to tune it out so I could pay attention, but I worry then that I just started thinking too much about like cool samurai rabbits.
There you go.
But yeah, so thank you very much, you two, and like you've really kind of shown us how dumb and cool Turtles can be.
Dumb and cool should be on the cover.
Yeah.
Is that a quote?
Bigger than capes, waves, dumb and cool.
Yeah.
5 shells out of 5.
5.
Yeah.
5 nunchucks out of 5.
5 chained together turtle shells, because we couldn't have the nunchucks.
Am I right in thinking it's the turtle line that they end up calling that?
Yeah, I mean Mikey still uses it in the new comic, doesn't he?
Really?
He's got his little grappling hook that comes out pretty regularly.
There's a point when he leaves his nunchucks behind with Splinter when they have a falling out, and then he has the grappling hook instead.
Oh,
it's good stuff.
It's good gear.
Thank you so much for telling me that.
Thank you, Lord Turtle, for giving us
this bounty.
Yeah.
Oh man, we never even got into the Pantheon.
I know.
Oh, then I think we'll just have to find that out ourselves. Because now hearing that there's a Pantheon, that's pretty exciting.
There's so much more, and it is one of those that you can start from the beginning, as Zach has proved. You can start from the very top and get it all in, and there's no better time than now, I don't think.
Brilliant.
Maybe yesterday. Yesterday was slightly better than right now, but that's gone.
I would definitely recommend just starting at the beginning and going all the way through this. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. I know we've covered in the past that we quite like alternative superhero universes and kind of quite cohesive, well-structured superhero universes. I was honestly surprised reading all of this, how well everything fits together and how everything feels like it matters. And I think that's really important in a kind of, in a world where there's so many superhero books.
Yeah, makes it stand out.
It does. And it's got Pigeon Pete.
It's got Pigeon Pete. Right, quick round off. Favourite turtle?
Oh God. I really like Mikey.
I was just telling you my favourite turtle's Matt the turtle.
I really like Michael.
We've got a vote for Michael O.
Give him his full name.
I like Mikey. I always have. Like, he's not the best turtle in any way, but like, I just had a strong attachment to him because he was always so like happy.
Absolutely, fun guy of the group.
You know, he's a party dude, and whilst I am the opposite of a party dude, like, I appreciate that he's there.
Angela, who's your favourite turtle?
Well, as an 8-year-old, it was always Raphael because girls like a bad boy. Throw that out there. But as I've matured, it's probably a toss-up between him and Donnie, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like
everyone thinks that if you read, that Donatello is going to be your favorite turtle. And like he's maybe a second or a third, but like yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Angela. I was going to say, I think Donatello sits as sort of everybody's second favourite.
He does. Bless him. Yeah.
Will, who's your favourite?
I'm with you, Matt. It's Mikey all the way. It's all about the charm, and he's always the one to like bring the group together when they fall out.
Yeah.
He's just the best, and he's always a joy to read. And some of his like little solo series tend to be the most fun because they're often the goofiest and like have the least message involved.
Just no message. Just Will.
Just have a good time. Like throw some nunchucks and stuff. Be cool. Yeah. Be cool to one another.
Zach.
See, I think it can vary on the day, and when I was a kid, and I don't know why it was always Leonardo, but as an adult, I think it is a tough call between all four of them. But probably Mikey. Yeah, I think, especially in this run, whilst we get the kind of dumb lightheartedness and the obsession with pizza, I think he also does get to be the emotional core almost all the time. Mm-hmm. So there's just some really good Mikey, and I think. Yeah, Donatello's a really close second.
But I think they all play off each other really well in this. Like their characters are super well defined, and they bounce off each other really good.
Yeah, and I think there's something to like about all of them. I think the deeper you get into this 100 issues, and however many million issues of miniseries, the more you kind of get like Raphael's point or understand why Leonardo is so kind of uptight, Mm-hmm. I think they all make sense to me, which is nice. It's a good balance.
Evil Leo is the single best looking turtle in the run.
I think it's a really close call between Evil Leo and Slash.
Slash has got a good look, but it's basically the same, isn't it?
Slash is taller.
He is much taller. That's fair.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
You're all welcome.
Hooray.
Welcome, world.
So, this has been Bigger Than Capes, and remember that comics
are bigger than shells.
Bigger than shells.